What is up, everyone? Man, it's been a while. Good to be back. The boys are back in town. We got Nickel City Mafia teamed up with Go Bills Podcast and Red, White, and Bills. I mean, super excited. We're going to be going through, starting this week. We actually tried to start last week, and my internet went out for the first time in like 2 years. Of course, it always goes out when you most need it. But every week leading up to the draft, we're going to be bringing you draft targets at every position. This week, we're going to start with the sexiest pick, the sexiest position you can talk about, and that is the offensive guard. And I'm not kidding. These are the guys that get it done in the trenches. Because we have free agency kicking off in about, let's it go? We're about less than, a month away. Free agency, March 15th. We're going to we're going to talk about some free agent targets as well. And we're going to do that. So we're going to mix that in with some draft targets, some free agent targets for the guards this week. And we'll do that all the way up to free agency. After free agency, we'll continue on with the other positions just for draft targets. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have the guys back on. Feels like it's been way too long. Anytime we can get together and talk the Bills makes me a happy camper. So let me just introduce the panel. Go around and say hi to him. As always, Jake Podger from Nickel City Mafia. How you doing, my friend?
Fantastic, Mike. Ready to talk about some dogs up there in the trenches. So just fired up to talk about it. I'm going to try to keep it short, not super long-winded. We're going to try to get through this. I know we like to talk a lot, so that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Go on to the next guy.
I love it. By the way, I forgot to say, once we get through the free agents that we have targeted and the draft targets, we're going to do a 4-round mock draft, and that should be fun. We're going to try to get one of these draft targets, one of these guards that we talk about in one of those 4 rounds. Joining me as well, nobody cooler, the coolest man on the planet probably, Mr. Sean Kula from the Red, White, and Bills. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. It's it stinks the year ended how it did, but we got baseball, the draft, a bunch of stuff to pass the time until September rolls around, and we got another shot at the Lombardi. But I'm glad we're doing this. I just hope that our staff is doing this right now as we speak, trying to get who's the next guy we can get, and not just, oh, we got to stay with what we got. We trust who we drafted. I don't like that about this staff. So hopefully they're doing what we're doing, brainstorming and, picking out guys who are possibilities to be on this team, which I'm sure they will. But I mean, they've been letting us down for a few years now. So let's hope.
If they just listen to us, Sean, tonight, if they just listen to the show and every show going forward to the draft, they'll be in good shape, man.
Exactly. Yeah, they should. I mean, what else would they be doing right now?
Also joining us, the young gun, as I call him, Mr. Brett McDurphy. How you doing from the Go Bills podcast? How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, guys. Glad to be with you today. It's a beautiful time to talk about all the draft prospects that are going on. I know that there's going to be a lot of movement on these boards. It's a good time, and I mean, what better position to start with than the big boys out there, the guys that get it done in the trenches, the guys that nobody really knows their names sometimes, and we get to talk about the big guys, and I'm looking forward to it. I know Sean is looking forward to baseball season. I'm looking forward to the XFL and the USFL getting started. I'm thinking it's going to be a great time. And there's going to be some guys from the XFL and the USFL that are going to get called up to the active rosters for the NFL. And it's going to be fun to see who's going to be the next guy that moves on from the XFL and goes to a roster and has a lot of success.
Yeah.
Hey, how about the XFL? You boys watch any of that this weekend? I'll tell you what, my poor wife, just when she thought football was over, psych, here comes the XFL back in full swing. I feel so bad for her. It's never ending. It's all year long. So just a beautiful thing. Really, really impressed with the play and all of the games that were happening this weekend in the XFL. And I love the kickoff rule. The NFL needs to adopt that. It's absolutely incredible.
The one thing I loved about it was there's 2 guys that were former Bills that played in the XFL, and that was AJ McCarron and Austin Proehl.
Nate Becker, too. Don't sleep on him.
You can't sleep on either one of these guys, and maybe one of them gets back into the NFL. I'm hoping, but it's great to see that there's some former Bills in the league, and they're having success too.
Yeah, that was cool. The game-winning touchdown too. That was great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Now, we realize we're a little early, right? Draft, as Brett said, things can change a lot. We got free agency. If we happen to hit one of these free agent targets that we're going to talk about, the need changes come that first round, second round. And we maybe, we're high on a guard right now, but if we land a big guard in free agency, might not be so high on a guard. And also too, with the combine starting at the end of the month, right? A lot of people are going to move up the board, down the board. A lot of things going to happen. So this is as of right now. And I will tell you right away that we use PFF a lot, Pro Football Focus. Whether you're a fan of that or not, we use that. It's one most of the guys here on the channel take a look at that. It's not all we use, of course. And then also Spot Track for a lot of your salary cap and stuff like that when it comes to contracts. So let's get into it. Let's get right into the free agency targets. We're going to go big down to on the cheap. All right. So we're going to start a little expensive here. I'll bring it up here. This is my guy. And I want to say Jake and I did a show a week or two ago about free agents, and I had this guy on my list. I just felt with all the problems with the cap, I'm like, this guy might be just a little too pricey for us. But then we did a survey in the channel, and a good friend of the channel's Timmy Corcor, as his name goes in the on the survey. He said, I'd love to land a guy like Isaac Sumalo. And so Isaac had a great year. Had his best year last year overall. I mean, that whole offensive line on the Eagles was fantastic. And you can argue that the guys around him, I mean, every one of them, I don't think there was anyone lower than a 72. I mean, their tackles were in the 80s as far as PFF goes. But he absolutely had a fantastic year last year. 29 years old, 6'4", 303 pounds. And the only concern I have after researching him a little bit was that he only played 3 games in 2021. He had this thing called a Liz Frank injury. Now, it's a crazy injury. I wish we had your brother on, Jake, to talk about it. Crazy injury to the foot, which took him out for the year. And then in 2020, he only played 9 games. His year ended with he was getting an MCL repaired. So I always have a little concern. 29 years of age, injury history always scares me just a little bit, guys. But if we were to land him, if they could do some magic, I do feel it's expensive. It really is. And for me, I put him up here. But honestly, guys, I just think he's just a little out of the ballpark as far as price goes. Let me throw it to you, Sean, to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see what we do with all the reconstructing that we're going to have to do, and that's just going to put a damper on us in the future anyway. But we'll see. But he's definitely a guy that could definitely change the offensive line, the run game, and the pass game immediately. But I'd say he's worth the price tag, but we have to make a lot of moves, and I don't know if we're going to do that, but definitely worth it, I think.
What do you think, Jake?
I mean, absolutely worth it. If we can somehow finagle it and make it work, I would love to have a guy like this. He's an NFC Pro Bowl alternate. Obviously pretty easy to thrive in an offensive line when you have guys like Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson and, a bunch of other dogs up front, just absolutely killing it like the Eagles did this whole entire year. But man, this guy is a mauler. He's athletic. He was a 3rd-round pick for the Eagles back in, I think, 2017. Oregon State kid, Pac-12 kid. Eagles love drafting Pac-12 O-linemen, by the way. Andre Dillard's another name that comes to mind. But absolutely would love to have him. I think he would be a really nice addition and a massive upgrade over Roger Saffold.
The injury concern, do the injuries in the last couple of years concern you at all?
I think they do when you're shelling out this much money.
Yeah,
I would say if there's a way we can get him somehow in that below $10 million range, it's probably a steal.
All right. Any thoughts from you, Brett, before we move on?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jake. I think that he's someone who I would love to have, but I just don't think that he fits what we need to spend money on right now this offseason. But, potentially if he signs a 2-year contract with another team, we could potentially get him in a couple of years.
Yeah, there's Timmy chiming in right now. Timmy,
Timmy.
He's up on the board for you, man. Lindstrom is a tough injury to rehab from. Cracked metatarsal bone in your foot. Blood supply is very low to that area, so it takes a long time to heal. Yeah. And he
Timmy could also be a potential medical correspondent for us.
Really?
He has a very deep medical background as well. He went to med school for a time, and then he's like, I don't really know if I want to go this direction. He's still involved with the medical field though,
right.
in some capacity. So I think he's a great guy as well. He's our alternate to Blake for our medical knowledge, but he knows his stuff too.
All right. Well, he would love to land Isaac for sure.
Definitely.
Let's move on to the second target that we had. And this one, I'm going to throw it to Sean. This is Sean's guy. Of the 6 we're going to present, after researching these guys, this is the most intriguing one to me.
We're laughing right now because before the show we were talking about how Sean and Dalton Risner
Yeah, it gets a little
look
bit
similar.
I'm telling you,
You know
right?
what? Sean, you're better looking than him.
Absolutely.
You're better looking than Dalton. Tell you what, though.
I mean, if I gained 70 more pounds, I'd probably look just like him. But
now that you see the roster picture, though, we had to have a laugh at that.
yeah, no, that's funny. Now that I seen that picture, for sure.
You just need a longer beard, man.
Yeah, my wife would kill me if it was longer than this. But
Real quick, Sean, before we get into it, I might have said this already, but we only have one guard signed on our roster right now, right? One guard, that's Ryan Bates. And there's 4 that are UFAs, right? Unrestricted free agents. That's Butker, that's Greg Van Roten, Saffold, and Bobby Hart. Real quick, Sean, let me just do this just for you, real quick. Through these 4, tell me yes or no, you're bringing them back. Butker,
yep,
Van Roten.
I'm iffy between him right now.
He's cheap.
So I'll just say yeah for Van Roten.
All right. Bobby Hart.
Depends if how we do it. If we draft and pick a free agent up, then no. But if we only pick up one in the draft or one in free agency, I would bring him just in case, because we got, he did play swing tackle a little bit, but you got Tommy Doyle coming back next year as well.
Yep. All right, and then last but not least, Saffold.
Nah, too old now. I mean, he didn't do well, and he's old already. So I
agree.
I would just say no.
All right, thank you, sir. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there. I did
No, that's okay.
I did this to Jake one of our shows. So get into it. Let's talk to us about Dalton.
Well, first off, the 27 years of age, will probably be 28 by the time the season rolls around. But I think that this is the prime of his career. He's stepping into, 6'5", 312 is a great guard size, 72.6 pass blocking. And I look at pass blocking because we pass often. And he only allowed 3 sacks on 598 pass blocking attempts. And again, Josh Allen makes a lot of the offensive line woes look a lot better than it is. So you put him in front of Josh Allen, it might be 0 sacks. But I really like the fact that he just plays hard. He's nice and gritty, and I'd like to see him next to Deion Dawkins, because I think those two together would just be Ms. Mullen dudes left and right. But I really like his pass blocking techniques, and like I said, put him on a great team like Buffalo. I think it'll just propel his career to another level.
Yeah, I love that, Sean. He's got high availability. He's pretty much, hasn't missed much time at all with an injury. Yep. Again, the run blocking was a little low, but I agree with you. If I want a guy, like a couple guys on these slides, are going to be like, I don't want him because their pass blocking is absolutely horrible. But This guy is stellar. He's young. I really, again, out of all the ones that we put up here on the slides today, I like this guy a lot. But let me ask Brett your thoughts on Mr. Dalton Risner.
I loved him coming out of the draft. I thought that he was someone who could potentially be a fit for Buffalo. I think that he's probably going to be out of the price range for Buffalo this year again. I mean, I know that Brandon Beane talked about not spending a lot this offseason after going after Von Miller and other free agents last offseason. But I would love to have him. I just don't think that the price range is going to be there for us to get him.
All right, Jake, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's just it, man. I mean, if there's a way to get him, absolutely, I'm all on board. I think he's definitely probably the best prospect out there. I think he's a great fit for the Bills. Being a really good pass blocker too. He offers both the ability to do some things in the run game as well. He can pull. He's athletic. I just think I don't know, to be able to sign a guy like that. I don't know if it's going to be able to happen. I think you got to build through the draft and sign some, I guess, depth players or plug and play guys that are, more on the cheap.
Yeah. So Spot Track has him at $9.5 million annually, 4-year, $38.2 million deal. Samalo, the gentleman before that we talked about, it was a $12 million a year, 2-year deal. And again, if I had to choose between those two, I want this younger guy. I
Oh,
really
absolutely.
do.
Yes.
So, and 4 years, absolutely. If we can make that happen, I love it.
I'd be surprised if he goes for less than $10 million a year, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think he's just, I mean, he's one of the better guards in the league, honestly. I actually put him way over Isaac Samalo.
Yeah.
I guess you got to see too, because depending on his if a good team comes out to him and says, "Oh, how about 8 or whatever," he might be willing to work out a deal to be on a great team. It depends, I guess. But I mean, how the world is nowadays, I guess you take the money and whoever pays you more. But I guess it all depends on what his vision is. If he wants a competition for a ring, he might be like, "Oh, Buffalo. It's between Buffalo and 4 bad teams that want me." I mean, Buffalo's not offering me the most money, but I can see myself being a massive asset to this team and probably win a ring. So, I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Jake. He's probably not going to go less than $10 million, but I guess you won't know. I thought Harrison Phillips was going to stay on a team deal, and he went and took a bigger deal in Minnesota, a guy who you thought he was really deeply rooted in Buffalo. But I mean, I guess we'll have to see. But it'd be nice to get it. It'd be nice to get a guy like this. We really need it.
This is a humble farm boy, though, from Kansas. So I think, Kansas State kid, tough, gritty kid, probably he puts loyalty up there a little bit higher. So maybe even a return to the Broncos. I don't know if that's even in the cards. But if there's a team that says, hey, we can get you a ring, but we can only offer you X amount of dollars, I think this guy out of the, I guess the class of free agents, he'd be more likely to maybe take a little less than your other guys, but that's just me speaking for him. That's my wishful thinking.
So one thing we also have to factor in is this. He was a former teammate of Von Miller. Von Miller comes to Buffalo. He could potentially recruit Dalton Risner to come to Buffalo. Take a little bit less money, maybe throw him couple million on the side and get him to come to Buffalo. You know how these free agents work.
Hey, he's a farmer too. They could both. Von's got his chicken thing going on.
Exactly.
I mean, he can help. He can, have some stock in that now too. So there's a lot of ways you can go with it. You're right, Brett.
You got Ed Oliver with the horses right now. So, I mean, you never know. It can work out. We can find a way to do it.
That's right.
I love it. I forgot to mention. So the Broncos, they're 2.9 million under the cap. So they got some money to spend. Whereas the Eagles on the previous one, they're 9.6 over the cap right now. So they're looking to free up some space a little bit. Let's move on to the next guy, Nate Davis from Tennessee. So this was my guy to start with. And I was like, man, this is a steal. $7.5 million for 3 years, 22.4. He's 26 years old, another young guy. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2019. So he was a 4-year starter with Tennessee. 2022, PFF has him as a 70.6 rating. 2021, 69. 2020, a 71.1. I'm like, what's not to love about this guy? But then I started getting into the details, and I'm looking at his pass blocking grade, 49.2 in 2021, and 2020 was 52.6. Now, that could just be because the team he plays on. We obviously know his, when you have Derrick Henry running behind you, even if you're not blocking well, he's going to hit you in the back and drive you and whoever the defender is 5 years down the field. So he's going to make you much better looking and stat-wise. But he's, the reason why it attracted me is because we played Saffold about $6.5 million. Saffold is an older guy coming over from Tennessee. And I thought, you know what, a younger version of Saffold, maybe not quite when Saffold was in his prime, but if he gets around the right coaching, a possibility there. So let me throw it to you, Sean. Any thoughts on Nate Davis?
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly, Mike. It's hard to tell if he's truly a bad pass blocker. I mean, we also didn't watch him under the microscope. We watched the Bills. But as you said, they're a run-heavy team. So if his run blocking is pretty good, I mean, he graded out overall pretty well. So his run blocking had to be pretty good. And I think that's something that you would have to see him on a different team. But I think he'd be a great fit for us as well. Like the age and the height and weight ratio is very good as well. He's the fastest one out of the last 3. It's not by much, but 5'2" is pretty good for an O-lineman. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. And like you said, the price tag is a little bit better.
I think when I brought him in our show last time, Jake, you said you thought he was a little on the small side.
Yeah, he plays a little bit smaller. But I was actually thinking of the other kid on the other side.
Okay.
I'm Aaron Brewer. Aaron Brewer, I was actually thinking of, not Nate Davis. I got them confused. He's playing real. I mean, he's like 270, 280 or something like that. But
Really?
my only concern with Nate Davis is that, we tried the same experiment this past year with Roger Saffold. They both played for the Titans. I mean, Nate Davis has been playing with the Titans, and Roger Saffold came from the Titans. Same scheme, right? So I think that is my only concern is, can he translate? You figure, you're an offensive lineman. You should be able to play in any scheme. You should be able to pass block. You should be able to run block. Shouldn't be any difference. But I do think that there is a bit of a difference, and there is a bit of a, transition, if you will. I just felt like, Roger Saffold would come in and absolutely dominate, and we just didn't get that out of him. So that's my only concern with Nate Davis, is because he's coming from the same team, we're going to offer him similar money, I guess, per year that we would, that we did to Roger Saffold. I think, you got to proceed with a little bit of caution there. But he is younger, and I think there is some upside to him, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. The Titans are $28 million over the cap, so they're worse than Buffalo right now. So they're going to be looking to free up some space there. Brett, any thoughts on Nate Davis before we move on?
Yeah, I absolutely love this kid. I think he's someone that Buffalo should try and potentially sign. He fits everything that Buffalo is looking for in a guard. I think last year he took a step down, as well as the rest of the team did, just because you lost Ryan Tannehill for an extended period of time. You have Malik Willis, who's a totally different quarterback than Ryan Tannehill is, come in. And you also lose Derrick Henry for an extended period of time as well. And that's why I think his numbers went down significantly last year. But he's someone who is young, someone who fits exactly what Buffalo is looking for. And I think that he's someone that, if I'm going to look for a prospect and I'm Aaron Kromer, this is exactly the guy that I want. So I think he fits the numbers of what Buffalo is looking to spend on a guard. But, I mean, it's going to be tough to fit him into our price range. But with the restructuring that we expect Buffalo to do, I think he would fit right in.
All right. Good points, Brett. Really like that. Let's move on to the next guy here. Let me throw this to Mr. Podger, Mr. Justin Pug.
So Justin Pugh, Mike. Justin Pugh.
Pugh?
Yes.
All right. Well,
it's
Pugh.
okay. It
Pugh
looks like
on
Pug.
his PFF score.
Right. It's he's got a very interesting career. So he's a first-round pick out of Syracuse, drafted by the Giants as a right tackle, and they thought he was going to be the second coming of Jesus, and it just really didn't work out for him. He was just solid at best. Ends up signing with Arizona. Kind of has a career revitalization. They kick him into guard. He does a really good job at guard. Signs a 5-year, $45 million deal. As I mentioned, did I just mention that? I don't even know. So, he plays pretty well there. He's a little bit older. This past year, having a pretty good year, but in like the 6th game of the season, he ends up tearing his ACL. So there is some injury concern there. However, I do still think there's, some value in him, and I think he can play. I think he's, I guess that's really the biggest concern is the ACL, but the fact that he is coming off an ACL, he's a little bit older, maybe he'd be willing to take less money. So it is a viable option for the Bills. Now, do you want to put yourself in that situation? He's going to be 33 this year. It's, it may be a little bit of a risk, but if you get him at the right price, maybe even less. I know it's saying $5.5 million. I think you get him at $3 to $4 million a year. It might be worth it. This is a guy that's kind of proven himself, and, he's played pretty well over the last few years. So I think it would be a potential option for us for sure.
All right. Sean, any thoughts on Mr. Pugh?
I mean, like I said in the chat earlier, replacing Saffold and Spencer Brown, there's not many people worse than them in the league. So it would be an upgrade.
Yeah.
It would be an upgrade for sure. But I don't like the age. I don't like the coming off an ACL injury at that age as well. I know I always say Von Miller's different. So athletes are different nowadays. But when your offensive lineman, injuries impact you more, I believe. Like when you look at someone even young, who's the guy from the Jets? I forgot. Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
He's had season-ending injuries the last 3 years. And, it wears on the bigger guys differently. So those would be the reasons why I wouldn't be too happy with it. But again, replacing Saffold off of last year and Spencer Brown, even though we're not talking about tackles, those are you're going to upgrade regardless of who you pick up. So
Sure.
it would be an upgrade for sure, but just some concerns.
I think one big thing with him to be noted is that he's blocked for a mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray over the last few years too. So I think that helps, being familiar with a guy that's going to run around a little bit, get outside of the pocket, have to go downfield and block a little bit as well and block for James Conner. So I think, having that also is something that would be good coming to the Bills, bringing that, I guess, sort of background, if you will.
Yeah. My only concern is that ACL, Jake. I mean, we saw how long it took Trey to get back. We don't know how long it's going to take Von Miller. We're hopeful he'll be able to go, early in the season. But I'm not willing to risk, if this is true, and I find it hard that they're going to pay him $11 million coming off an ACL based on his, 2022 season, maybe. But I'm not going to risk the money. Brett, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And I think that another thing is he's a right guard too. And I think the Buffalo should really focus on that left guard and solidifying that. And I think this is one of the most important positions for Buffalo this offseason to solidify, because over the past few years, it's been a revolving door of who's going to be the starting left guard. And I just want to see somebody that can solidify that role for 5 to 10 years down the road. And I just don't think that Justin Pugh is the guy to sign. The injuries concern me, but I also think that we should go with somebody that's a little younger too.
Valid. Absolutely.
Good points, Brett. And welcome to everyone out on the channel. We greatly appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, any of our channels, please put comments out there, and most importantly, subscribe to our channels. I don't remember if I put the links to all our channels, but I will after this show. So seek out the channels, all good stuff. All these guys, all of us love our Bills. You won't find a more passionate group of guys as far as the Buffalo Bills go. Let's move on to the young gun, Mr. McDurphy's pick, Trey Turner. I looked at this, Brett, and I was like doing a little research, and I'm like, what the heck is Brett thinking here? But sell me on this guy.
All right, I'm going to sell you on this guy. This is what I went to school for. I went to school for marketing, and this is what I'm focused on. Okay. The reason why I targeted Trey Turner is because he's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He played for the Carolina Panthers coming out, and that's where he really made a name for himself. He had over 650 snaps where he didn't allow a sack in his career. He kind of has bounced around the league over the past few seasons, went from Carolina to the Chargers to Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh to Washington. And he started off the year pretty well in Washington last year, and then he got benched for 3 games, and then he came back, and he was really, really good for them. And I just feel like Trey Turner, he brings some really good things that Buffalo doesn't have. He's a bigger guy, and 6'3", 320 pounds, former 3rd-round pick. But I think he just fits in the most is his market. It's not going to be too expensive to sign him. Last year, he signed for $3 million with the Commanders. And I just think with all the numbers that he has, the PFF numbers, I think he really fits what Buffalo is looking for in a left guard. And I think he can solidify the role for a couple of years until the guy that we draft blossoms into the guy that we need. So I picked Trey Turner just because of that. He's someone who I know Buffalo has been trying to go after for the past few years, and I think he fits exactly what we need. And the biggest thing is I think he would match up very well with Deion Dawkins as well. Mike, you're on mute, buddy.
Thank you for telling me that. I am signing you as our marketing director. Fantastic job there. He's got good size. He's the fastest of the bunch here, 4.93. Of course, that was in his early days. I'm sure he can't run a 4.93 now, but who knows? He's been around for a long time. Jake, your thoughts on Mr. Trey Turner?
Love it. Absolutely love it, Brett. You did a hell of a job selling us on it. I don't think you had to sell me at all because I'm all for it to begin with. I think the biggest thing you point out is that price tag right there. This is a guy that's proven himself, 5-time Pro Bowler, has played at a high level, played in the Super Bowl, knows what success looks like. Why not bring back another Carolina Panther to Buffalo? Let's sign Try Turner. I love it. Let's go for it.
Sean, do you have any closing thoughts on Mr. Turner?
Yeah, like I said, it's an upgrade, obviously, but
He's willing to take anybody over. Saf will just bring anybody.
Yeah,
but I mean, the PFF grade 66 out of 77. It's a little bit of alarming because I mean of what we have already. But I think what Brett said is true. I think he'd fit great with Buffalo, and I think those numbers would be very much increased next year. He's a good enough seasoned vet. He's not too old, but he's been around for a bit, played in big games. Again, like what guards are supposed to be, like 6'3", 6'5", 315 to 330-ish. That's like a perfect guard build. Like you don't want to be a 6'7" guard, a 6'6" guard, a 6'8" guard. It's all about your body structure. You got to have shorter legs, like not like shorter legs because obviously they're tall, but you're just meant to be more compact. Tackle's got to be big with the big steps and everything like that, and the long arms. So I think he's a perfect fit, and very cheap too. That's probably, I mean, out of all of them so far, I could see us getting him over anybody just because of that reason only. But definitely wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, if you also look at the players that he's played with, you go back to him playing in Carolina, played with Cam Newton.
right.
So that fits exactly what Buffalo is looking for. He also has all the teams that he's played for, pretty much, they've had really good run games as well. If you look at the Commanders last season, they had a really good run game. And that's one of the things I look for in a guy in free agency. And then the biggest number that really sparked me was the 650 snaps at left guard that he didn't allow a sack going into his career. I think that lasted for like almost 3 seasons where he didn't allow a snap, or a sack. So I was looking forward to him. I'm hoping that Buffalo goes after him and signs him. It's going to be a cheap deal. Hopefully we can get him for more than the 2 years. Maybe get him for 5 years. I would love that. And I think he would fit right in. And then have him retire as a Buffalo Bill.
All right.
Love it.
Good points, Brett. Love it. Finally, our last free agent target, and this guy will definitely be the cheapest, Mr. Evan Brown from Detroit. Let me throw it to Jake. This is
who I really want. I honestly, I think we could just scrap Justin Pugh altogether, guys. Let's sign this young man. I think he has shown a ton of promise. He filled in 2 years in a row, so he gives you the ability to play both center and guard, which is huge. So this is where I think he can fill in. He's an upgraded version of Greg Van Roten. Undrafted kid, tough, gritty, chip on his shoulder, came in and played last year, or actually, I'm sorry, the year before, had to fill in and play for Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers in the league. Played extremely well, had to start, I think, 12 games for the Lions at center in 2021. Then you look at this past year, had to fill in for Big V. I can't even pronounce his full name, but I'm not going to even try to pronounce it, but I just call him Big V.
On the names, man.
He's an absolute dog, and Evan Brown came in, played in 14 games this year, played the guard position extremely well, played it at a high level. I think he would be an excellent signing for the Bills. Get him while he's cheap because he's going to develop into a better player than a lot of people have him ranked right now. I think he is on the uptrend for sure. So get him while he's cheap. He's going to be a starter on this team. Like I said, he gives you versatility, can play both guard and center. So this is my guy through in and through out, baby.
Definitely going to be the cheapest. And I had talked to you earlier. I mean, he's been on 3 other teams before finally getting a shot with Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Whenever I see a guy move on from team to team, it's like, what are they seeing? Or what are they not liking? But Detroit gave him a shot, and he did pretty well in his last two years. So I love the choice there. Brett, you got any thoughts on Evan Brown?
Yeah, I do. Jake loved the prospect. I think he's a great kid. I remember watching a ton of Lions games last year. He's someone who opened holes for Jamal Williams and as well as DeAndre Swift. I just don't think that he's going to leave Detroit because I know Dan Campbell.
Fair.
You know how he is. He's got that $15.9 million. He's going to slap some money towards him, and he's not going to leave there. You know how passionate Dan Campbell is about his players, and he loves this kid. So I just don't think he's going to leave Detroit, but I really love the idea of going after him. And if Dan Campbell is not going to re-sign him, definitely bring him to Buffalo. I think it's a good fit. Exactly what Buffalo needs to do is spend a little bit of money on a free agent guard. So he's one of the other ones that I would love to get too.
Love it. Sean, did you have any closing thoughts on Mr. Evan Brown?
Yeah, I mean, he hits all the boxes. Good age, good height, good weight. He wants to win. He's a hard player. He wants to earn his spot, because he had, like you said, Mike, he's bounced around to 3 different teams before he finally got an opportunity. So, he's got a fire in him. You see the PFF grade. His pass blocking was 72 in 2021. It took a big dip. That could just be an anomaly because of all the switching he did around this season, a different position. But he's definitely a guy that I would love to bring in and give him an opportunity with Buffalo and see how he goes because, like I say, he checks all the boxes for me.
I love it. And he is the cheapest of the bunch. And, of the bunch, this is really a position to me I want to go after in the draft. And we're going to talk about that right now. Good segue into our draft targets. Each one of us had one. And let's get into it because I don't know about you guys. There are some good players on here. If they were to be added, like this guy, I think Evan Brown would be great, especially because he's on the cheap. Trey Turner on the cheap. But are these a guy that we can see really turning the team around? Maybe. But would he turn them around immediately? I don't know. But I do think some of these draft targets we're going to talk about could have a huge impact in year one. So let's get into it. And let's start with everyone's favorite for a guard in the draft, going round 1, Mr. Osiris Torrance, and that's Mr. Brett McDurphy's going to talk about him.
This is a kid that I think everybody wants Buffalo to go after. He fits exactly what Buffalo needs in a guard. He is a zone blocker who excels in the run game. He gets to his defender. He makes sure that he clears his defender and then gets to the second level in the run game. But he also is very smart as well. And when he's in the passing game, what he'll do is he'll take care of his defender. He also is very good at helping the person next to him and going to him and then making sure that he's helping double team the next guy that he needs to go after. He's got some very good aspects in him. And my pro comparison to him is Larry Allen. I think that he reminds me so much of Larry Allen. Exactly what Buffalo needs. He didn't allow a sack in over 3,000 snaps in his career. He has played against some of the biggest names in the SEC as well. I'm going to get his name wrong, but I think it's Jalen Carter that he went up against with the Georgia. He held his own. He held his own against them. Has some really good things going for him. 4-year starter at Florida. Very good player. He hits exactly, like I said, what Buffalo needs. His draft stock right now is 34th, which is right where Buffalo is going to be picking. You could potentially move back a little bit, get some more picks for Buffalo, and then go grab Osiris Torrance. But I really believe that this kid is going to go way sooner than that 34th overall pick for him. He's got some very good qualities for him, but he's not so quick with his hands. That's the biggest thing that he needs to generate more power. That's one of the things that people are saying about him. He also, he's 325 pounds. I know it says 337 on here. It's about 325 that they're projecting him to be at. So that number concerns me a little bit because he might lack a little bit of stamina as well. And he's a little bit too mechanical at times, so that allows defenders to go after him. But I really like this kid, and I think these are all things that, as a coach, you can definitely fix. I think that he's going to be a really good prospect, and if Buffalo goes after him, he's a zone blocker, does that very well, and I think he fits exactly what Aaron Cromer is going to look for in an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do want to have one correction. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, you would know this. I believe Torrance transferred to Florida in this past year. I don't think he's been a 4-year starter for them.
That's
am
right.
I wrong there or am I incorrect?
Yeah, he was at Louisiana Lafayette, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just one correction there. But everyone who talks about this guy is just like, wanting Buffalo to take him for sure. I want Buffalo to take him for sure if this guy's available. Jake, I know you love this guy. You've been talking him up.
Oh yeah.
I'll start with you, Sean, first. Any thoughts on Mr. Torrance?
Yeah, like Brett said, all the things that seem to be an issue with him are all coachable and fixable. And, the speed's a little bit, unfortunate because you got a guy like Josh who's constantly moving around. So that could be potentially be an issue. But just like Mekhi Becton, I mean, he came in, he was like 400 pounds. So he needed to drop a little bit of weight. It says Brett says that he's projected to be 325. I think if he can get to 325, 320, because of his speed. I mean, if he was 325 and running a 5'1" or a 5'2", that'd be different. But the speed is definitely the only thing concerning for me. And I think if he's at 27, you can't pass him up because then he's going to be gone probably at 28 or 29. And behind you got the Chiefs picking, and you don't want them to get another great weapon on their offense. So you definitely got you can't pass up.
Yeah,
Sean, let me ask you a question, buddy. The height for Osiris Torrance at 6'5", does that concern you a little bit too?
No, for me, a guard height is between 6'3" and 6'5" for me is perfect. I mean, if you're 6'2", also that could be fine as well. But I think for me, 6'5" is the highest that I would prefer. And from what he's performed, he's been phenomenal at the position. And the weight for him seems to be the only concerning thing with the speed. But if he could drop a little bit of weight and get the speed up, I think his height's fine, his weight's fine. He's 6'5", 330. I think that's very good.
Jake, your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you this. So the tape that I've watched on him, guys, I know you're looking at that 40 time, 5'4". You can only put so much stock into that for an offensive lineman. First off, you're not seeing an old lineman run 40 yards downfield. And if they are, it's a hell of a hustle play for them, or they're chasing down to make a tackle on a game-saving interception or whatever it may be. His lateral quickness, I think, is the biggest thing. And that is huge as a guard. You want to see a guy that's able to get out in front, pull, play on, do some of those more athletic plays. And he is just fantastic at that. So I think that's what really stood out to me. His game speed matches up better than what his 40-yard time is. And that's why a lot of people are sort of, they're not as concerned about that being a 5'4", even if he does run that. I don't even know if that's what he's going to run. But I think, there's some concern. Obviously, you look at straightaway speed, but his lateral quickness is fantastic. So I'm not concerned at all in the least bit. And he's an absolute mauler that has played at the highest level.
Yeah. Of the targets that we're going to talk about, I think he's definitely the only first rounder we'll take, but we'll see. We got some others to talk about, so let's get into it. Love this pick, Brett. I think every time I look anywhere as far as draft boards go, he's your number one guard off the board.
Yeah.
We'll probably take a running back, though, unfortunately.
Come on.
Come on. We've never taken a running. We don't take running backs in the first round.
We haven't since Willis McGahee, or no, CJ Spiller. I'm sorry.
We've upset a lot of people by doing that in the last few years, by the way, my dad included.
Yep.
Let me throw this to you, Jake. This is your guy, Andrew Voorhees.
I love him. No relation to Jason, by the way. This guy, what I love about him, first off, is that he's a super senior. He's played 5 years. He started all 5 years for USC, and his football IQ is through the charts. He's as good as it gets with that. He's an extremely good run blocker, pretty damn good pass blocker as well. He's a little bit bigger playing guard at 6'6", 325, almost like a tackle build. But I think what's big about him is the fact that his steps, you look at how he does move laterally. He moves better as a guard than he does as a tackle. I think it's more of a natural fit for him. What's big about it, I think the biggest thing to take away from it is the fact that he's 24 years old. He started all 5 seasons at USC as a super senior because of the COVID year. And I'll tell you what, man, I really think, in terms of when you look at guards pound for pound and what they can do, his combination of size, strength, and speed is second to none. I mean, really, you look at Osiris Torrance, obviously you're a little concerned about, his 40-yard dash and whatnot. I mean, he's projected to run 5'1", and he's 6'6", 325. Also, he's on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Supposedly, he's going to put up 40 reps at 225. That's what a lot of people are saying, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I believe it. I think he's going to do it. You could see his strength on the field, the way he absolutely moves guys. He's a freaking mountain out there on the field. Would love to have this guy. I have him higher than a third-round pick. I think we get him in the second round. I think that's a steal for us. So I'll tell you what, man, I think this is a guy that's going to be trending upward. Absolutely. And I am over the moon about him. Again, good football IQ guy, tough, gritty guy, athlete, very good technique, everything you want in an offensive lineman. Should have been a Big Ten O lineman, not a Pac-12 O lineman, but I love it.
I love it, Jake. Brett, you got any thoughts on Mr. Voorhees?
I love him. I think that he's another guy that Buffalo could go after, especially considering what's going to happen in free agency. Buffalo might have to go after a linebacker or a cornerback or safety early. So I think that this fits exactly what Buffalo is looking at. And potentially if Osiris goes earlier, this would be a very nice complement piece for Buffalo to go after. The one thing that I think that he fits better at, Jake, compared to guard, is he's also a very good tackle too. Right. And I think he might fit in with another team at tackle though. So I would love to have him, but I think he might be a tackle in the future. So we'll see.
Yeah, Timmy's saying you don't get your trench guys from soft.
I knew he was going to go there. That's why I had to say something.
What does he have about the colleges in Southern California?
Right. No, he's 100% right, Mike. No offense to you Californians out there, but the Big Ten, there's a reason why the Big Ten breeds O-linemen and the Pac-12 does not. With exception, there were a couple guys, Isaac Samalo being one of them. He's a Pac-12 guy. Some of those guards, those interior guys from the Pac-12, they've turned out pretty well, and I think he is an exception. Timmy, I think you got to give this young man the pass.
Sean, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's built like a tank. Yeah. And again, IQ, like Jake mentioned, that's very important because you got Mitch Morse next to you, hopefully, and he's very smart. You got another smart guy. Just offensive line, people may think it's just like a big group position, but you have to be intelligent and have a good IQ. So that's very important. Strength, obviously. If he's that much of a beast, getting 40 reps, I mean, he's a little bit better than me. 225.
Just a tad.
Yeah, just a tad.
Not much.
So I got to give him a little bit of credit for that. But what Jake said perfectly about how he moves his feet as a guard, even though he's quite tall, that's a case sometimes. But like when people try to move like Cody Ford back to guard when he was better at a tackle position, it's not for everybody. So he's a guy that doesn't fit that mold where he could do both, and he's better at guard even though he's tall. So that doesn't worry me because of he's able to perform that way. Some people just can't perform that way.
A lot of comparisons to Tevin Jenkins too, by the way, guys. Yeah. Very similar stature, 6'6", 320. He was drafted by the Bears last year out of Oklahoma State. A lot of people comparing him to Tevin Jenkins. Actually, 2 years ago, 2021. Holy cow. It's been a while.
All right, well, good stuff. Let's move on to Sean's target, Mr. Steve Avila. I think I spelled his name wrong there up there, so forgive me on that.
You have it right.
Do I have it right? Mm-hmm. All right, Steve Avila from TCU. Talk to us, Sean.
Yeah, so he graded 71 last year in 540 pass block snaps, 0 sacks, 9 hurries, 2 hits, and his wingspan 79, which is 66th percentile, which is pretty good. 2021 first team AP All Big 12, and this guy, like it says here, he anchors really well. He's got great strength, and he's very versatile. He's not that great with like Jake mentioned. The other guy was good. Torrance was a good lateral movement. This guy isn't the best at it, but that's something you can be coached at. And again, between a second and fourth round pick for him, I think if we could get him, that's a good steal because all this stuff is coachable, and he's so young. He's got a great build. I'm just really excited for him. And he played on a TCU team who was very, very great this year and didn't play well in the championship game as a team, but he was part of the reason why they were successful. And I'm excited to see what he does at the combine. And I would love to add him on the team. If you get Torrance, obviously you're not going to get him, but I think he's a good option if you can't get Torrance in the first round. If he's sitting there in the second round and you missed out on Torrance, he's not too far behind talent-wise, I don't believe.
He had a really good Senior Bowl showing, so he's really improved just what people saw in the Senior Bowl. And that's why you see it up there in the draft projection, anywhere from a second to mid-fourth. I think that mid-fourth was early on before the Senior Bowl, and who knows, after the combine, like you said, they can shoot up even more. So I really like that pick. Thoughts on Mr. Avila, Jake?
I love him. I think it would be an absolute, just a hammer pick. I would be all for it, Mike. The versatility is the biggest thing. Obviously, being able to play both guard and center is huge. Brandon Bean values that. Sean McDermott values that. And I love the height and weight. The size is good. And, size and power. That's the biggest thing with this young man. I think he's actually somewhat similar to our guy, Isaac Seumalo, as well, because they're very similar in stature. They're, I guess, not short and stocky or anything like that, but they're just these maulers, just moving they're just mountains out there, just moving these people like nothing. So that's the biggest takeaway from him. And his Senior Bowl was incredible.
Yeah. I'm excited to get any of these guys that we're talking about. I'm telling you, can't wait for that draft.
Attitude
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Brett, did you have any thoughts?
I absolutely love this kid. I've been watching a lot of TCU play. He played for Sonny Dykes, who's an excellent coach. Came over from SMU last year, and he really transformed this TCU team, took them to the next level, brought them to number 2 in the rankings. And I think this kid fits exactly what Buffalo needs if you miss out on Osiris Torrance. So I'd love to have him.
All right, excellent stuff here. Let's move on to our last draft target. Talking about Mr. Versatility, Cody Mock. All right, Cody played at North Dakota State. He's been a tackle there. Now, he's on the smaller size for a tackle, 6'6", 305. When I say smaller, it's his arm length. So at the Senior Bowl, he had a very good showing. Depending on who you watch, they loved him or they were like he struggled a little bit. But the reason he would struggle, he's been a left tackle all his career. He came in as a tight end at 221 and was able to bulk up pretty quickly. This guy's a beast. You got to watch some film on him. And at the Senior Bowl, they moved him over to guard, and then he moved him over to center. And he did a great job there as well. So, of course, he's going to struggle when you've played tackle all your career. Let's move him over to guard. It's going to take a little bit to adjust. What's the laughter? What am I missing? Who's he look like?
The red-haired Sean. That's what they're saying. These guys are saying we have a little private chat over here too. Brett says looks like a red-haired Sean. I don't know about that. Sean, you got better teeth than this guy. I'll tell you that.
Oh, good.
He looks like a red-haired Sean with long hair.
What, does everyone who has a beard look like Sean now? Come on, I mean,
Pretty much.
Risner.
Everybody,
like
Sean.
But this kid, seriously, I mean, he look at his speed, 4.88. He didn't lose when he went from 221 to where he is right now at 305. I think he needs to add a little more weight if he's going to play at guard. Everybody, all the pro prospects think he's going to be at guard. His arm length is just too short. But what nice versatility. If you had to move him out to tackle in an emergency case, that he could do that. And again, they tried him out at center as well. And very fast. People are expecting him to go mid-second round, late second round. Actually, absolutely love this guy. So is he a first rounder? No, but we're going to have a conversation when we get to the first round when we get in our mock draft here. But thoughts on him? I'll throw it to you, Brett. Any thoughts on Mr. Cody Mock?
This kid is a freak athlete. That's the biggest thing I can say about him. He started off his career, like you said, at tight end. He came into the program, and he has been a terrific blocker throughout his career. And he is someone who I think Buffalo would love to have. I think he's exactly what Buffalo is looking for in a guard. And I think he's going to be a fan favorite if he does come to Buffalo. So I just would love to see the red hair in Buffalo in the snow. I think it would be a great fit. I just want to see that snow just on his hair and everything. I think it would be a good fit for Buffalo. So I think he's someone Buffalo should go after, and he'll definitely be a fan favorite here. Trust me.
I agree. I'm going to throw that to Sean real quick. And Sean, one concern I have, and something you said a couple shows ago really stuck with me, and that is drafting guys from bigger colleges, right? He's coming from a smaller college, hasn't really faced the elite guys out there. Did okay in a Senior Bowl, but that was just a few days of practice in that. That's my only concern. But what do you have to say about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody could put on 85 pounds and still be very fast, I mean, he looks great just in that picture. He's definitely got a great work ethic, and I mean, he kind of gives me Spencer Brown vibes, but I think he's probably better than Spencer Brown. But like you said, he could play multiple positions. Spencer Brown can't. I think this guy is the type of guy where he could go in and give some guy like Spencer Brown a kick in the ass, and then you really find out what he's about because he's coming in, young buck. They both got that mean mentality, I guess, and one of them's got to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. He seems like a guy that can do that. And but if he is playing guard, I mean, if you put him next to Spencer Brown, you got two undersized offensive linemen next to each other. I think he's got to put on a little bit more size, maybe like 15 more pounds, 10 pounds. And we expected Spencer Brown to do that, and he hasn't been able to do it. But, I mean, he already went from 221 to 305. I mean, and he's able to still move in his body. I think that's great. But I will say, Mike, there is some – I did see a couple drafts ago. I think it was either 2020 or 2019. The Jaguars drafted a guard who played the college that I go to in their Division III. So I've seen small college offensive linemen go into the pro. But, it is we do that a lot where we think we're outsmarting people by picking from smaller colleges. Like, they don't know about this guy. Let's go grab one. But based off of what I've seen from him, I think he could definitely be an asset. And I don't think being at a smaller college will affect him as much as it might affect other people.
Good point there, Sean. Yeah, I wish I got a smile. He's missing a couple teeth up front. He's a brawler, man.
Oh, yeah.
This dude is a physical dude.
Maybe he played hockey.
He will punch. He might have played all sports. Jake, you have any thoughts on him?
Everything you want in an offensive lineman. I mean, he could play anywhere. He's a team guy. He comes from a successful program. North Dakota State has just bred national championships over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, that entire program is just absolutely incredible. So I think coming from a successful program is important, transitioning to the NFL. Obviously, it's a big step up, but I think having that background is also something that is underrated. So would love to get a guy like that. Absolutely.
Awesome. So there they are, our 4 top targets for guard. That can change again, as I said earlier in the show. If we land somebody big in free agency, our need for guard maybe, goes down a bit. Obviously it would. But it'd only be if we really landed, in my opinion, a splash guard, somebody that's going to come in there and make a difference on this line. But now we're excited. Now we're going to get into our first mock draft of the year. I know Brett's been doing a lot on his own. He always shares those with us. Love to see what his ideas are. But we're going to do it a 4-round draft, and we're going to see if we can land one of these targets that we just talked about. So, Jake, take it away, man.
All right. Let me see here. So we're going to go.
I love when Brett does he trades Isaiah McKenzie for 45 picks. I'm just like,
by the way, let's set the rules here. No trades, nothing special. Stick
I was about
at
to
your
say,
position.
I was about to say
these,
we can't do any trades in this one.
I was using PFF for a test drive yesterday. It was like trading me, giving me all these crazy trades. I'm like, no, let's keep it pretty basic. Stick to our pick, and let's see what we get.
You guys can see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I can see it. Yes.
So we got 4 rounds. We got the Bills selected. So, all right. So, Mike, are we each going to do our own here? Is that the?
No, we're going to talk. We're going to go when the first pick comes up, and we're going to see who's available, and we're going to talk about it.
All right, I like it.
We're looking to land one of our guys, but if it's not a guy that we want in the first round, we'll take someone else and try to get one of our guys in the second or third round.
Sounds good. And are we doing trades, or are we just going to leave it as is? Okay.
Leave as is.
Okay. Sounds good, because I know Brett is the trade master over here.
So, Jake, I'm just going to ask you, how fast do you want to go on this? Because the speed is really fast.
Yeah, you know what? Let's.
I was going to say, do you want to slow it down a little?
Yeah, let's go back to settings here.
You could do it right there.
How's that?
That's perfect. Yeah. If you go really slow, it'll be like.
Yeah. We don't want to be. Yep. All right, let's do it. Okay, ready, guys? Here we go.
Yep.
All right, Jalen Carter, Bryce Young. Nothing crazy. All of our receivers that we would probably want have gone. Okay. So let's take a look. What do we have available first off?
I don't think I saw Torrance be taken. There he is.
There he is.
Look at that. He's available. I think you have to. You absolutely
PFF made
have
this easy for us. Now, if he's available, how can you pass on him?
You can't.
Right. I think that's
You got to take him.
got to take him. Absolutely. The only thing I was going to throw out there is if one of your other splash plays was there, would you be willing to take one of the other three that we talked about and maybe take, let's say, Zay Flowers, who I know you're high on.
Right.
Jake, if Zay Flowers, he was taken, but if he was available, would you?
It's a conversation. It's
right?
absolutely a conversation.
You'd be gambling then. You'd be gambling. But let's get this guy that's going to turn things around for this O-line. So I love that pick. So at this point,
I mean, you could go right back and get another guy who's going to be your eventual replacement for Mitch Morse and John Michael Schmitz. I mean, you want to talk Big Ten? I think Timmy actually had a comment already about
Timmy
him.
has him.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a great pick there. I know a lot of people are really lobbying to get a receiver. Are we just gonna say, hey, we signed a receiver in free agency? Maybe we got someone, or we made a trade or something like that. We'll take John Michael Schmitz here. What do you think?
I agree with you there, Jake. I think that based off of the amount of money that Buffalo can save moving on from Mitch Morse, I think you have to go with John Michael here. I think he's exactly what Buffalo needs.
I do too. And let's just take a look real quick. I want to see who else is available as interior O-line just for the heck of it here.
And for kicks afterwards, take a look at receivers real fast.
Yeah. Jared Patterson. I like this kid late, maybe in the 4th round too, by the way, guys. Jared Patterson, another name to keep an eye out on. Okay, let's take a look at receivers. Looks like we got Keyshawn. Jalen Hyatt is there too. Yeah, now that's a conversation too. I really like him a lot. I think he's like Stephon Diggs 2.0.
What kind of height does he have?
I think you got to go.
Basically the same height and weight, Mike. 6 foot, $180, $190.
I think we got to get at least one receiver within the first 3 rounds that's got a really high upside and some speed.
Yeah.
Because what we've shown is that we got guys that can't separate and can't get open often. Well, besides Diggs, I mean, once you start bracketing and doubling Diggs, it's hard for him to get open. Also because we have no blocking, so we don't have often a lot of time to throw. Gabe Davis drops the ball 50% of the time, or doesn't catch it. We'll say doesn't catch it 50% of the time, and then other than that, no one else can get open. Knox is slow. McKenzie stinks. They don't give Khalil Shakir opportunities to play, so you have to get someone like a Jalen Hyatt, I think, in the draft. And then you can still focus on O-line because there's going to be good quality probably in the 3rd and the 4th round for center, guard, and tackle, as maybe we'll see. But if he's sitting there in our second pick, I think you got to go for him.
Keyshawn Bout's an interesting name too. He had that big game. It was in 2020, I want to say it was, where he went over 300 receiving yards in a game. It was against Ole Miss. Absolutely insane. Yeah, 14 catches, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Insane. In a game. This is in a game, guys. I mean, back in 2020. Very similar size as well. 6 foot, like 200 for him. But what do you think here? Do we go with receiver? Or we wait? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you take Hyatt here.
I think you do too. I'm more on Jalen Hyatt. Absolutely.
I'm on offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with either.
You're the tiebreaker.
I really believe that. I'm sorry, guys. I really believe that John Michael is the answer.
He's a dog.
I think he's just a baller. I think he fits exactly what Buffalo needs. You can solidify the offensive line. That's how the Chiefs did it. They solidified their offensive line, built through the draft with different pieces, but we can do the opposite. Build our offensive line through the draft, get our pieces around us in free agency.
Okay. I like that, Brett.
But at the same time, what I'm thinking about this guy is we don't know what Mitch Morse is going to do, and they just signed Ryan Bates. So even though I might rather have this guy than Ryan Bates, which I always thought that people were so quick to sign him, but he's signed now. So you'd have to either do something with one of them, but we don't know if Mitch Morse wants to not play anymore. He might retire. He may not. They might cut him. They may not. So in the event they don't cut him, I think you got to go receiver here, and because you may not ever – they might not play him over Bates because we've seen it time and time again where I don't know if we're bad at drafting and terrible and just bad at drafting in general, or just we're great at drafting and bad evaluation of players, or just bad coaching. So we have some problems that need to be worked in the office, and with the coaching staff, but he might not even get an opportunity. They might just, we'll draft him. We got Ryan Bates and Mitch Morso. And then Mitch Morse plays for 2 or 3 more years, and then all of a sudden he may not get a lot of playing time. So I think here's just because there's an unknown. I think I would pick receiver, but I also wouldn't be mad at picking a center.
I mean, you look here too at who's available potentially in the 3rd round too. We could still get one of my guys here, Andrew Voorhees, and then we got the other kid out of Michigan. So Joe Tittman, I think he'll absolutely be gone. I mean, I'm surprised he's still available here, but
Wisconsin center, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's a dog. I like him. Actually, I think he's trending upwards. So, yeah.
I'll be the tiebreaker. So my thought going into this was just helping Josh, helping the offense. So I'm okay whether it's an offensive lineman or a player, a skilled position. Brad, I can go either way, but for this particular draft, since we just got our guard, let's go with a splash play with the wide receiver.
Love it.
And then maybe we'll change that around next draft we do.
Jalen Hyatt, Mike, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with
All
you
right.
guys.
Nice. I like the pick. I think it's a solid choice there.
Is Mike's guy gone yet?
Oh, I'm pretty sure Mock was gone.
Yeah.
So
actually, he just got taken there.
Oh, did he?
Because you guys remember I picked him with that 2nd round pick in one of my drafts, and it gave me an F.
Oh, we didn't even look at him.
At 59.
Well, that's because they got him as a tackle, I think, and I guess whoever this is doesn't think the Bills need a tackle, but we know that's not true.
Tank Bigsby's an interesting name that's been thrown around for the Bills.
No.
But I don't want to touch that either, Sean. I'm with you, absolutely. Let's take a look. Let's go back to O-line here. Interior O-line. My guy is there. Now obviously we can go guard. We could think tackle as well, but the nice part with Andrew Voorhees, obviously he has the frame of a tackle. I think he's better suited for guard, but you look at the tackles available here. You got Luke Haggard. Actually, I like him a lot out of Indiana. We could potentially get him in the 4th round. These other two here, I haven't watched a ton of film, admittedly, on these tackles.
Well, we got tackle next week, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We got time. Check the wide receivers and tight ends just for fun.
It's A.T. Perry kid out of Wake Forest.
You want to load up receiver, Sean?
No, just
that I can't go with.
I'd be good with Voorhees, though. if he's there in the 3rd round, I'll take him.
I love this kid.
What about
That's who I wanted. I wanted us to go after was Marvin Mims. That's why I thought we could wait on. I thought we could wait on the wide receiver. I think there's so many names that are available. That's why I didn't want to go after Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah,
but I mean,
he's got such a good name too. That's such that to me, Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to speak the name and you just hear it and you're like, I can. Yeah. Marvin Mims, 80-yard touchdown. You know what I mean? Like, but no, I really do think he's going to be a legitimate player in this league for sure.
We got to remember too, we probably need at least a safety and another linebacker.
That's true. That's a good point.
Or even
a good point.
Even defensive quarterback, or even defensive tackle.
Let's see best available here. I mean, you got
that's just a different day.
Hendon Hooker still, Drew Sanders still on the board. That's intriguing.
Yeah. These mock drafts will make more sense for us once we do more of the positions, and then we can be like, you already did the linebackers and the defensive tackles, and then we could do 7-round picks. And
Brett, don't be mad, man. I could have gone either way with you, and I think the next draft we go there, and let's see how it works out. We're going to be doing a lot of mock drafts, so we're going to have an opportunity to try all kinds of things.
Guys, I will say this. If we don't end up re-signing Tremaine Edmonds, I do think Noah Sewell is a guy that we should target. 6'3", 250. Not exactly 6'6", 6'5", but still a presence in the middle of the field, and he's athletic enough to play in coverage. I think he would be a really solid replacement for him, to be honest with you. And he's the younger brother of Penei Sewell, an offensive lineman for the Lions, one of the best offensive tackles in the league right now. So kind of fun.
I think the one guy that's really intriguing at the 91st pick is Clark Phillips. He's a guy from he's a Pac-12 player, All-American this past year. I think he really would fit into Buffalo too. I know that cornerback is not a sexy pick right now for Buffalo to take, but I think it just allows Buffalo to have a little bit extra depth. And I think that he's someone who Buffalo could pick up, and then potentially you can move on from Tre'Davious White, I don't want that to happen, not whatsoever. But if Tre'Davious White isn't returning back to the same Tre'Davious White as before, he's someone who can blossom behind Tre'Davious for a year and then come into the game and play really well. And I think that Buffalo will move Christian Benford to safety, and this would be another fit for Buffalo.
That makes sense, Brett. Yeah.
Who's available at safety right now?
Let's take a look. Brandon Joseph out of Notre Dame. I actually watched a little bit of film on this kid. I like Jair Brown a lot. I think he's still available, though, in the 4th round, potentially. This is also me being a homer because I like Penn State. But I think when it's all said and done here, guys, I'm gonna make the call here. Let's go back and let's get my guy. What do you think? We got to get one. I mean, we got 2 of our prospects then if we do this.
How's that center from Michigan? Anyone know anything about him?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's he's solid, but he is, projected 3rd or 4th round, Mike. I think we're better off probably getting a kid like Andrew Voorhees just based on, his 5-year starter experience at USC, his ability to, he can kick outside. I think, like I said, he's going to play guard. But just his athleticism is so damn good. It's hard to pass up on. I think this is a steal in the 3rd round, to be honest with you.
Let's roll the dice. Let's go.
I love it.
I think he's going to be available 4th round, though.
Which is crazy to me. I see his stock trending upwards, man. What do you think?
I think he's going to be available. Yeah, I really do. I think you rolled the dice.
We already went against Brett. Let's trust him this time. Let's take somebody else and see if Voorhees is available. Let's go.
Check the D tackles.
Yeah, let's check.
There's a defensive tackle that's available. The kid from LSU.
Yeah, Jaquelin Roy. Jaquelin Roy. Jaquelin. Great name.
I know it fits. It's a big school. I love the big school lineman.
So is this you saying we're going to potentially either trade Eddie Oliver or not sign Jordan Phillips or bring back one of those guys?
Just in the event. I mean, because Phillips is on the deal. Then you got Tim Settle, who was underperformed, and I think you shouldn't get rid of Ed Oliver, but I'd rather Edmonds and Poyer go, keep Oliver, and because I mean, like I said, Oliver, he's been undersized, but he's proven to perform at a high level, very, very often. And then when Von Miller was playing and Ed Oliver wasn't getting double teamed every play. Because when Von's out, Ed Oliver's the best player on the defensive line, without a doubt. So at 280 as a D tackle and he gets double teamed, he breaks through a little bit, but he gets beat a lot because he's small. But when he's one-on-one, he beats you 8 times out of 10. So I think it'd be crazy to get off of him. At least, people might think, oh, why don't you want Edmonds? He's just – we've seen it time and time again. He's just big for nothing. He hits his own teammates harder than he hits the players on the other team. He almost killed Dane Jackson, and I'm just the amount of money we save for letting Edmonds go, and we've proven year after year it doesn't matter how good our defense is, we can't win anyway. So I would be fine with letting Edmonds go, and in that purpose. But I like Ed Oliver, and I think just pairing another defensive tackle, a young guy with him, maybe on the bigger side, could also help. And then you got Von Miller, of course. I'd like to bring Jordan Phillips back, but I don't know what they're good at. There's a lot of unknown right now.
Yeah, we'll know more when we get to the defensive tackles, when we get to that position. Like you said, Sean, we're going to learn as we go through week to week and we study these different these potential targets. Sorry, Brett, go ahead.
Now, would you feel more comfortable taking a defensive tackle here or taking a guy like Drew Sanders in this position?
I'm more on the linebacker train. I'm definitely there. Yeah.
I'm completely on board with that too. So, I mean, I'd feel more comfortable being honest. I think we've spent way too much money and invested way too much on the defensive line group. I think you got to roll the dice with what we got right now. And I think Drew Sanders is a good pick here too.
It's good value, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll the dice then.
Drew Sanders?
Well, we went. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
go for it.
yeah. Let's go with it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm
Now
gonna
let's
roll
see
with
if
it.
Brett. Let's see if Brett is right. Is Voorhees available in the 4th round? That's the big question.
It's a lot of teams picking. I don't know, guys. Nah. Brett, you might be onto something here.
It's going to be the pick before.
Yeah,
always
right.
is, right. Dang, it feels like forever.
Oh, there
it
it goes.
Yep. See?
Man, I'm sorry, guys.
And look at they took
Before.
Marvin Mims too. Just add insult to
Oh,
injury there.
man.
Damn it.
Unreal.
You know, if this was actual draft day, Sean would be cursing up and down. Damn it! Why did we listen to Brett? If Brett was on the coaching staff there helping make these picks, he's like, "Damn it! What the hell
You
did
should
we
have heard
take
when I
that
said when
risk?"
we picked, what's his name? That guy from Georgia, the quarterback, Jake Fromm. You should have heard me then.
Oh, my brother-in-law absolutely despises Jake Fromm, and when we drafted him, I texted him. He couldn't believe it. He was out and about running errands or doing something. The second we drafted him, I texted him immediately, called him afterwards, and I'm like, dude, we got your best friend on this team. So
I want to say one thing though. I don't think it would be now in the 4th round when we get to some larger drafts like 5th or 6th round drafts. The guy that I want to target late, not a guy, but a position that I want to target late in the draft is a big, strong, physical, maybe quick, fast running back to pair up with Mr. James Cook. Somebody that can complement him, right? James Cook, you saw it last year. He's not that physical of a guy. Maybe he can be, but I want a bruiser, man. So maybe we can get a guy like a Pacheco late in the 6th or 7th round and just a big guy. And there's a couple of them I was looking at. By the way, I use, for anyone that's watching, a lot of the stuff that I got the information for the slides, NFLDraftBuzz.com. They do a fantastic job. They're absolutely free. I don't know how much longer they'll stay free. I feel like they should be a subscription-based site, but they are not. But they do a great draft on covering they do a great job at covering the draft and all the prospects that are available.
I really like Chase Brown out of Illinois, Mike. He's not like Derrick Henry size or anything like that. 5'10", I think around 220-ish, but put up some absolute numbers at Illinois this past year.
I don't know. I'm gonna leave this one up to you guys. You know, I can hear Sean saying, Brett screwed us, man. He screwed us. Who the hell do we go after now? I mean, we know we need a safety. We absolutely going to have to draft a safety or do something in free agency. I don't know. But, you know, I don't know if any of the good safeties are left. The top safeties, I should say. I'm sure there's some good ones.
There's a really
left.
good safety that's probably going to go in like the top 15, but I think the guard's more important.
Yeah.
I think you're looking, you know, if you're in the 4th round here, I mean, there's a couple guys that are still, you know, you could go with the center out of Michigan here. I really like this kid, Jarrett Patterson out of Notre Dame. I think that's a good pick in the 4th round. Haven't watched a ton of film on Chandler Zavala, but wouldn't be a bad pick either.
I think Jake early on some show, I remember you saying, I'm taking all offensive line.
Yeah, and that's why I keep going O-line here, guys.
Yeah,
I am all for it. And
the biggest need.
This is the guard show, guys. We only took one guard, so
That's right. You're right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I think you can go one of two ways here. You can go with this kid, or you go Jarrett Patterson. Those are my 2 picks here. So I'm going to let you guys pick. Who do you like more?
I'll say Patterson because it's guard day.
Yeah, I agree.
Love it. I think that's a really solid pick here. So I'm going to roll with it.
All right.
I just hope that they actually draft well this year. They've had a string of absolutely god-awful drafts the last couple of years, and especially I think it was the Spencer Brown draft. That was the worst one. But that was the year where they picked the most offensive linemen.
Oh, boy. Not looking too good for us here. On
the value, I mean, overall, C+
card.
here, guys. But look at the value on Jarrett Patterson here. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Osiris Torrance, I think that should be an A. This should be a B. This should be a B+. This should be probably B-.
Yeah, see, I also think the reason why they do that is because we picked him at 27 and he's number 34 on the chart, and high at 68 we picked him at 59. So I think they make it seem like worse than it really is. But as we mentioned, everything's gonna fluctuate. Like Torrance could be a top 10 pick by the end of the combine.
Yeah, exactly.
I expect him to be. I really do. We'd be lucky if we got him at 27. I'd be all over him like we were in this draft. But I just don't know how he's gonna stay around that long.
Here's a good point by Timmy. He said, "Would you see how much Brandon Cooks would cost? He's looking to leave the Texans," which he was actually pretty pissed off that they didn't end up trading him during the season this past year. Finished out pretty strong with them. I think it's absolutely worth it. This is a guy that could stretch the field. Has had 1,000 yards with like 6 different teams. He's a first-round pick. He's only, I think he's 28 or 29, so he's not terribly old or anything like that. And we could probably get him at a discounted deal. So I absolutely think it's worth maybe looking into that.
We would probably pick touchdown Jesus over him though anyway. So
Stop.
Wouldn't even matter.
I mean, what would you trade for him? Would you trade a third rounder? What would you trade for Brandon Cooks? I don't know what it costs.
I'm not touching Brandon Cooks. I'm not a fan.
I'd like a younger guy that could be like a 4 or 5 year investment for the offense, because I mentioned it earlier in the group chat. People like to think that the Buffalo Bills are some stacked team when in reality, like, we're really not that great. We really don't have that many weapons. You got Josh Allen and Steph Diggs. The offensive line is atrocious, bottom 5, and then McKenzie stinks. Shakir didn't get a fair shot, and then Dawson Knox caught like 2 passes in college. So it's like, who's actually proven themselves on the Bills offense besides Josh and Diggs? Nobody. You look at Kansas City, they got 3 all-pro offensive linemen. They got the best tight end in history. They got 2 number 2 receivers, Juju and MVS. You got a running back who had 12 receiving touchdowns. So they're stacked everywhere. Yeah. That's a stacked team. We have Diggs and Allen.
Well, also coaching too, Sean. I mean, that goes a long way. You know, you probably have one of the best coaches in NFL history,
we have terrible coaches all over the place, and like I said, we have a problem because I know we're off topic now, but it's hard to tell if it's Bean's fault. Bean could be drafting exactly what we need, but we are terrible at developing players. So that's what we need to figure out as people. Like, we've been fooled. Oh, Bean's a genius. McDermott's a great coach because he took us out of the drought years. That's all fine, but we're heading back to the drought years in the next few years anyway. Josh Allen's cap hit in 2025 is $51 million. 2026, he's up for reconstruction, or he can go to free agency. That's not that far away. And with all the restructuring that Bean's been doing, it's just going to screw us over. And then because Josh signed that extension and he's eligible for 2026, he needs another massive extension. And imagine if we win a Super Bowl or he gets the MVP in that next 3 years, he's going to be even more than what he is right now. So
60 to 70 million a year.
And you know, the market could be even that could be average. Like, we don't know anymore. So
right.
I think we have a big problem, and we don't know where the root stem is from yet. But the last couple of drafts, when you really break it down, haven't been great, and we're terrible at evaluating offensive linemen. We pick wrong people. We keep Jay Kumaro. We let Isaiah Heisman walk out the door. Now he's a great player in New Jersey. So it's like, I don't know where the problem lies, but this draft we have to really see, is Bean going to hit all the pain points? Is McDermott going to allow these guys to actually play? And that's the other thing too. You know, I'm so sick. I know, again, I'm ranting again, but it's been a while. But we get these young guys, first round picks, second round picks, whatever. And McDermott, I don't know whose ideology it is, but they're like, well, they got to earn it. They got to earn their playing time. They did earn their playing time. They were drafted the first round. They performed better than the people you have starting. So why are you not letting them play? You ruined Epenesa's career by making him drop 50 pounds and then not playing him. So, I mean, what's really going to happen here? You look at the Chiefs. They had like 7 rookies starting on offense and defense, and they won a Super Bowl. They were allowed to play and develop through the season. We have a guy like Shakir who he was open on single man coverage like 40 times out of like 80 attempts, and he got 14 catches on the year. That's only a single man coverage. He was wide open that many times, and we didn't even utilize him. So
yeah, it's inexcusable. The lack of playing time and development, I think, with some of these promising rookies has been disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's like okay, you have to practice all the time and work hard in practice, and then maybe in your sophomore year you'll get to play. But then now his sophomore year is a rookie year. You have basically two
Right.
rookie years now because you barely played. You had a first-round pick in Elam who could be a superstar next year, but now he's got to basically be coming into half of a rookie year going into the sophomore year. And I just don't like that about our coaching staff, and hopefully they see the urgency of we need to win, at least get to a Super Bowl and let these young guys play. If you draft Torrance in the first round, let him play, let him take licks, let him
He
learn.
better be playing. If they
Yeah, he
draft
better
him.
be playing.
He's
Especially
better
if
be
he's a
playing.
first round pick. If our first and second round picks
Yeah.
aren't starting and producing for the team, then either your coaches failed or the GM failed or everybody failed. Because there's no reason a first, second, or third round pick shouldn't be contributing to your team besides special teams.
I agree.
Sorry
I
for the
mean,
rant.
look what the Chiefs did with theirs. So I totally agree. Closing thoughts, guys. Well, I mean, that kind of wraps it up. I do want to say this about our draft, the mock draft that we did. I'm excited we got Torrance. I'm not so excited about the other three only because I haven't done the research on that position yet. So who knows? After we do the other positions, I might look back and be like, damn, that should have been an A plus, right? So it was a lot of fun. And next week, as Sean mentioned earlier, actually it's this week. We're actually coming to you back to back this week with shows. We're going to talk tackles, offensive
Can't wait for
tackles
this week.
is the next position we're going to go after. And that we're hoping to plan for Friday night. I got to talk to the guys here, but that seems to be the preliminary date that we're going to have offensive tackles. Again, I'll go around real quick to give everyone their closing thoughts, but I just want to say thank you to everyone. If you're new to our channel, all our channels, Red, White, and Bills, Go Bills Podcast, Nickel City Mafia, please like, comment, and most importantly, drop a nickel on that subscribe button or smash that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. It really helps us continue to do this stuff. Not that we wouldn't. We love talking about the Bills, but just seeing your interaction, seeing your support really helps motivate us even more. So let me throw it around the board here, throw it around the table. Jake, closing thoughts?
Guys, I think we did a really nice job of covering some of the top prospects that we should be targeting, and hell of a job to all of you. You know, this is the first time we're doing this year, so I think we held our own. We did pretty good. You know, I feel pretty decent about our draft. By the way, Mike, Drew Sanders, 6'5", 233. I just had to look up that height and weight just to make sure.
I like it.
So,
What's the
a little
speed,
more
though? I
intriguing.
got to know about that speed.
Pretty fast. He's pretty fast. I think 4'6", 4'7" guy. So he can play in coverage. I think his game speed is better than his 40 speed. So
Does he hit holes and is he not afraid of contact?
I think he's pretty damn good at that. So
All right, so that's all you got to say to me.
that's
And
right.
his last name is Sanders. That's the biggest thing. If you look back, you know, there's been some really good Sanders that have been in the NFL.
Not many bad Sanders that
Yeah.
have played in the NFL.
You have
Yeah.
Barry Sanders, you
Dolphins
know.
kicker.
Dion.
I mean, and you can't go wrong with Colonel Sanders. I mean, he's pretty
Colonel
good too.
Sanders. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, the list goes on. But no, guys, I think we did a really solid job. I think any of the prospects that we named as draft prospects are all viable targets, and I think the Bills should take a very good, hard look at all of them. And draft Osiris Torrance in the first round, please.
Love it. Love it. Let me throw it to you, Sean.
Well, I ranted quite a bit, so I won't take too long. But I will say, how often are we going to get gifted the opportunity of possibly getting an excellent offensive lineman in the first round? Because usually the great ones are in the top 10 pick. But if somehow Torrance is always falling down in the mock drafts to us. So if we could somehow get that in our lap, that'd be amazing. So this was really fun. And I think this is going to be more fun as it progresses because, like you said, Mike, we did guard this week. Then we're going to do tackle. And as it goes, the 7th round mock drafts will be easier to be like, oh, now we know we got to get linebacker this round, center this round, whatever. But it's going to be fun researching players, watching film again. And then there's no better Buffalo Bills panel out there than these 4 guys right here. So that's all I got to say. Thank you, guys. It's been fun. I can't wait to get Spencer Brown Week out of here.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff, Sean. Brett, close it out for us, man.
Man, great show, guys. I got to say, it's always great to see you guys. I know the Vegas bettors, we talked about it. We said we are going to keep it around 30 to 45 minutes. We are always over.
You bet the over on us, you'll win a lot of money.
We doubled the over.
Bet the over.
5 minutes.
It's easy.
Unreal.
But very good show, guys. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. I know we're going to have more content coming. We got Mike and Jake from Nickel City Mafia, great guys. Don't forget to subscribe to them, as well as Sean from Red, White, and Bills. And I can't wait to talk about tackles later in the week. There's some very good prospects that are going to be out there. And like we said, we're going to know more when we have free agency come about. We'll know what positions Buffalo is going to be targeting. And who knows? I mean, potentially we're not going to go after a guard in free agency because we signed a guy like Trey Turner. We signed one of the guys that we've mentioned, and we don't have to go after a guard. So you never know.
You know how Brett uses his guy, right? He could have said any of our guys. He has
I
to
know.
say Trey Turner, right? We land Trey Turner. He's going to turn things around for us.
I have to put my perspective on everything, you know. I think it's going to be Trey Turner and Osiris Torrance. You can have Trey Turner. You can have Trey Turner at left guard, Osiris Torrance on the other side, and that solidifies the offensive line.
Oh my gosh, Brett! I hope so.
No, we need a right tackle. Don't forget.
I mean, I think Osiris Torrance.
Cody Mock.
You know. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. I'll say it real quick. They're going to move Osiris Torrance around. What they're going to do is they're going to have him swing out wide and go to where Spencer Brown is. Take care of that guy, and then swing back around, cover his own guy, and then Josh Allen's going to be fine. And you're just going to see – what you're going to see is Spencer Brown go like this, and he's going to be done. He's going to freeze. And then Osiris just goes around, takes care of everybody, and it's done.
Funny stuff.
That'd be
I love
ideal.
that.
All right, well, let's close it out, guys. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you this Friday talking about offensive tackles. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's close it out with a nice little clip that hopefully inspires you for next year when these Bills come back strong. It looks like Brett wants me to say one more thing. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, one more thing before we stop, because there's a really good question that's in here. I really want to answer this.
All right.
From Riku. He's asking, is Diggs on his way out of Buffalo? I think this is really important to answer, so I'd love your guys' thoughts.
No.
Where would he go?
No.
All
He's
the
not.
good quarterbacks.
He's not leaving
Number
Buffalo.
1 and 2 receivers now. He wouldn't go nowhere.
I think that there's a way that it's going to be answered, and I think that Josh needs to be humble. He needs to say exactly what he needs to say, and that's, I didn't give you the ball enough. I'm sorry, man. And we got to make it a point to give Stephon Diggs the ball because he deserves it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunities where he could have had the ball, and he didn't. So
15 targets a game minimum, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Actually, we hope we don't have to do that many a game, but at least 10 a game.
10 a game is exactly where I think he should be.
Yeah.
And it's sad that he didn't get the opportunities at the end. Something happened in the coaching staff, because I'm telling you, the passing game just wasn't there in the second half. I don't know if it was Josh's arm or what, but it was a different ball game. And I'll tell you right now, he's not going to the freaking Ravens, because I'm not letting that happen again. I miss Lee Evans when he
I know.
saw him in training camp. So the last training camp I ever went to was Lee Evans. It was his last training camp with the Buffalo Bills. And the last time he was a member of the Buffalo Bills, I think it was 25 minutes into training camp, he got traded to the Ravens. And you just see him jogging off the field, and I'm like, oh, shit, is he injured or something? Because I'm like, is it our star receiver? And no, he got traded to the Ravens, and then all of a sudden it was in the paper, and I'm like, oh, man, I love this guy. And I was hoping to get an autograph from him, and he just ran off the field, and I yelled his name, and he wouldn't even come near me. He was just like, I'm out of here. Peace. Let's go. But,
in my opinion, I don't think there's any reason for him to want to be out of Buffalo. I don't think he's ever said he wants to be out of Buffalo. He just talks about how he wants to win the game. And, I mean, and to what Rick said, that he's kind of a diva. They said that about Michael Irvin and all the best wide receivers in the NFL that ever existed. So I think that just comes with it. If you're not a diva as a wide receiver, then are you really even a wide receiver? And when you really think about it, that's all we've been saying that all year. You got to get Diggs the ball. But the way the offense was created with this new offensive coordinator, Diggs, when he got bracketed, no one else could get open, so it didn't spread the offense around. And then Diggs was just left behind because they had to try to get to wide open guys because he was the only guy that was being covered a lot. So, I mean, he still had over 100 catches, 1,500 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I mean, he still had a phenomenal season. But he did mention something that I've been trying to say all last year, but you guys try to calm me down and say, well, we won, guys. And, we won, dude. Relax. You don't have to swear and get all mad. But Diggs even said after the first 8 weeks, we win a game, sure, but it's how you win the game. We weren't playing good at all. We were winning but playing like crap. And then when you go to the playoffs and almost lose to a 7th-round rookie, and then you get destroyed at home by the Bengals, it proved that that's how it was. I don't know if it was a DeMar situation and all the snow blizzards and all that stuff that happened this year that it took him out. But people talk about how McDermott's a great coach about when certain situations like that happen, he can rally the guys. But it seems like it didn't work this year because Matt Milano sits here and says nobody had any energy. Bro, you were hosting the divisional game against a team that's been talking crap for weeks, saying that you guys didn't deserve it and you shouldn't be home field and all this stuff. You have a chance to go back to the AFC Championship against the Chiefs, who you've proven you can beat every single time you play them, and you come out there flat in Buffalo at a home playoff game. You're 4-0 at home, and it was just a weird year, like Diggs said, but I don't think he's actually wanting to be out. And like I said, where would he go? There's no other quarterback available on any other team that's a contender that would pay money for him. And he's got that relationship with Josh. He wants to win with this team. I mean, you see if you think about the Ravens, Rick, you guys don't pay any offensive weapons, so he wouldn't even go there.
They get rid of their stars. Look at Brett. He's going to take us into the 2-hour mark now. Rick is part of the Nickel City Mafia. He's going to go live in a little bit talking about golf. But Brett, go ahead, finish your thought, man.
I'm gonna finish real quick, okay? As a panel, I want everybody to raise your hand. When you were playing receiver growing up, did you want the ball? Raise your hand if you wanted the ball. Because I was the
fastest kid in my block, man. I wanted the ball all day long.
I wanted the ball every chance I could possibly get it. So I understand where Stefan's coming from, okay? I guess we're all divas in a sense because I wanted the ball. I bet you Sean wanted the ball.
I love the block, though. I love the block, like Hines Ward.
Well, Diggs also knows, like, we have a team that can win, and we always fold in the biggest moment. Like, and that's just how it is. And I'm sure they probably promised him, like, oh, we're going to win a ring if you get here. And then he just wants it so bad. And of course you do. I mean, that's what it's all about, even if it's just one. And, year after year of great seasons, 13 wins, 12 wins, and it just don't matter. So I like to bring Stefan on this panel and be like, let's talk about the draft. Let's talk about the coaches and the thought process. You want Spencer Brown on the team?
I think he'd be happy with Jalen Hyatt. I really do.
Wouldn't it be great if he did come on and he was totally honest? I wish if you could get a guy on and they were totally honest, but nobody would do that.
No.
It would ruin their career.
It would.
Maybe a retired guy, maybe. Anyhow, that's it, guys. Let's get out of here. Now the wife's going to say, you just did a 2-hour show. What do you mean you're going to do a Friday night show? So we could talk about Stefan Diggs for another hour. There are possibilities.
Rick already did the show.
I know. Did he do the show already? Did he say he's done?
We had dueling shows on the Nickel City Mafia
channel.
I
love it. That was our first. That was our first true test. I knew we did. I researched it, but this is the first time that we actually tried it out. So good stuff, Rick. I'll check it out afterwards. So anyhow, let me leave you with this cool little motivating video for next year. Let's go.
Bills Mafia, circling the wagon, you feel me? Nickel City Mafia, let's go! Josh Allen, quarterback supreme, leading the Bills to the top of the league. Weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yeah. Come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point. Ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes. Ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QB. Stephon Diggs holding in the pass. Group cars in having go deep. We're circling wagon. Just wait and see. from Wyoming to the NFL, Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid, deep ball, touchdown for real. Leading the Bills to playoff drills. Real time, this ain't no drill. Cold game, we're giving them chills. Check the score, now you know the deal. Nickel City Mafia.